No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved.
Maybe one day I'll just kind of pull up ties and stakes and not have to worry about some of the responsibilities like a house and keeping up the yard and all of that, and just travel and go wherever it is that I'd like to go all over the United States. Anybody think about that? I know I have. Well, our guest this morning has actually done just that. She has the opportunity to travel the United States and to see places all over from the comfort of her motorhome, her 32-foot motorhome. She and her partner Marika and their dog Cody travel full-time all over the country in the motorhome. And they volunteer and they help people and just get to live out an aspect of a lot of people's dreams. And I think that's important, that sometimes people talk about things, but they don't do them. And she took the initiative to do just that. Ruth Davis is an author, artist, speaker, and coach, and founder of Spark the Heart. And I really like the synchronicity because we're talking this month about set your life on fire. And then she comes along with the perspective of Spark the Heart. For the last 10 years, she has explored how we hold ourselves back from pursuing our dreams. And she's an example of going into your dreams. How to stay in situations that are familiar, even when we're no longer satisfied. And how when we live from our hearts, we are so much happier. She has a book which is over there. It's available. It's over there on the table at the door. That's called Heart Sparks, 7 Practices for Loving Your Heart, for Loving Your Life. And Ruth is no stranger to Open Heart. A few years ago, we had the opportunity of having her here to speak for us. She's a great friend of Julie's, and Julie introduced her to us, and we were glad that she came the first time, and we're happy that she's back again. So if you will, join me in welcoming Ruth. And Ruth, if you will stand here for a moment, and if all of us will extend our hands and our energy to her and say, Ruth, we are so glad that you are here.
We are so glad that you are here.
Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Be open.
Be open.
Bless us.
Bless us.
And so it is.
And so it is.
I spent the first part of the service crying. Because that's how I open my heart. So I'm being myself. I was here 3 years ago. I was on a solo RV tour in a 24-foot, 25-year-old motorhome with Cody. And we were going from Arizona all the way to Asheville, North Carolina and back. 6,500 miles, 10 states, 5 months. And the trip was planned to meet with people along the way that I had met through different communities. I met Julie at a camp for adults. And then we connected on Facebook. And so when I was planning my trip, I thought, well, I don't know people in Alabama, I don't know people in Tennessee, but I guess I really do. And so I stopped in different places, and I was so, I probably cried that day too. Because to be in a room full of people who show up open mean, open heart, can you get more direct? You're walking through that door and it's not, sit there and be quiet and look at the pretty pictures of torture on the stained glass, right? I'm not even Catholic, okay? But this is a different kind of community. And if you don't know it, you are really lucky, and I'm going to tell you a few reasons why. After I got back from my 5-month trip, I lived in a motorhome full time, but I was always parked, either in Phoenix in Marika's driveway, or on the beach because I hated living in Phoenix. And in both places, I was able to find some kind of community. In Phoenix, I had been going to a yoga studio for 20 years. So you meet the same people and you're there to practice the same things. So that's an open-hearted connection. And I volunteered with kids, and that always does it. And I had friends, 30, 40-year connections with friends. So we would get together for lunch or dinner and sit for 3 hours, and you know how that is. All very obviously heart-connecting experiences. Community. We need that. Even when I would go to the same grocery store and talk to my bagger Bobby, it was the same person I was seeing. How are you doing? How's your life? It wasn't a deep conversation, but it was that regular connection. I see you, you see me. How good day. When I returned from my trip, Marika decided she was finally ready to retire. And our 23-year-old dream, okay, I didn't just say, I want to live on the road. 23 years, it was, how can we do this? What can we do to do this? How can we save our money to someday maybe make this happen? And when I got back and she saw, oh, look at you, you went across the country. And mind you, that was a really good trip for me because I was scared to death. Not really, but I was going by myself across the country driving a 25-year-old vehicle. So I learned a lot of great things about myself. Number one, I could do it. Number two, as scared as I was, I could do it. And number whatever, the biggest thing, there are people along the way that you will meet. Look, I came back. So when I came back, Marika decided she was ready to join me on the road. We sold the house. We had an estate sale and sold just about everything we owned. There's a couple of boxes at my dad's house, papers, a couple of things. But pretty much everything we own, we carry with us in our 32 feet, 2 slides, so we have a little space. And we tow a car that we call our garage because we got the grill and the propane and, all that extra stuff. It's a wonderful life. We've been, May 18th, we began our 3rd year on the road. Pretty amazing. But we don't just travel and see pretty places and move along. One of my biggest dreams, 20 years ago probably, was I wanted to be a lighthouse host. I didn't want to live in a lighthouse. I wanted to give tours of lighthouses. I don't know why, but like lighthouses. And so our very first volunteering gig, we left in May, and in October we found ourselves on the Oregon coast volunteering as lighthouse hosts. I'm like, oh my God, what now? I've achieved every dream I've ever had. But my next dream, and then, we didn't have any volunteering gigs set up, but one of our co-hosts there became friends with us, You meet people, and we had some great conversations with the people who were coming up and down the steps of the lighthouse. And that's one way to connect with people when you're not in a community, is actually having a real conversation with somebody, not, how you doing today, but, so where are you from? What brings you here? Have you ever seen a lighthouse before? And when you ask people, it's amazing what they'll share and what you'll be able to connect with. So after our lighthouse gig, it was now November in Oregon. And if you've ever been in Oregon in November, it's rainy, it's cold, it's rainy. I'm from Arizona where it's dry. We had to buy a dehumidifier. What is that, a dehumidifier? Well, I know you people know what a dehumidifier is. But there we were in Oregon, and we took on a job as camp hosts. And my second dream of the trip came true. I got to drive a golf cart. I have really, really, tangible dreams. And it was so fun to drive around and, clean campsites. And we picked up litter, and we played this game. I was driving always. And Marika had the picker-upper, and, I'd stop and we'd try to get it while she was moving. We had a song. Bottle cap, butt, rapper. And that was, simple pleasures of a simple life, right? And we see beautiful places because Marika is a birder. And so most of our travels take us to sometimes pristine but not very beautiful places because nobody wants to live there. The birds are there, which we love. Because, I'm not a big city person. I've had 4 days in Memphis. I'm kind of done. Kind of traffic and construction. But we find so much peace and connection by being out in nature. And then we meet like-minded people because they're out in nature, birding, or just enjoying being in a beautiful place. And again, that's wonderful because you're having small connections. And when we volunteer, we have actually a schedule, so we're not like, what do we want to do today? Because I know you all say, if I had 2 days and I didn't have to do anything, oh my God! Well, that's wonderful when you have a buffer of, and then you go to work and you meet people and you engage and you do all the things in a community. When you're living with your partner in 32 feet, 24/7. Number one, you can't rely on that other person to make you feel good all the time, because sometimes they'll make you feel bad. And you can't rely on that other person to feed your heart with what inspires you. As much as you want to believe that, it's not possible. One person can't do everything for you, except your own self. But that takes so much practice and, it's hard work. So when we're out on the road, it's a big challenge to connect, to have real conversations. Because an email conversation with your best friend is not the same as sitting in lunch for 3 hours. And there's no real hugging. Humans need touch. So when we're traveling, our volunteering is so important to us because it gets us away from each other, even if we're doing the same job. And it gives us connection with other people. It gives us a purpose. It gives us a schedule. And then when we come home, we can actually talk about something besides, why did you leave the spoon like that? So as I'm traveling, sometimes we're not volunteering. We're touristing or driving or getting from here to here, which is one of my favorite things to do, is to plan our travels. It's almost more fun than actually living our travels. But I'm a great planner. I visualize where we're going and where we're going to stay and what it might look like. And that sparked my own heart. That's one of my things. And I used to think, oh, but that's work. Well, call it what you want. The things that make you get lost in time. The things that say, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Those are the things that feel good. And so one of my things that feels good is planning our next adventure. One of Marika's things that feels good is the minute we get there, she hangs her hummingbird feeder. That's great. We each have our things. But when we don't have, oh yeah, I'm going to do my own thing. When I get really, I haven't seen people in a couple days, you're kind of making me, oh, and until Monday I can't even take a walk. Right. Then you're like, what do you do with yourself when you're feeling so low and alone? Because I'm alone, literally, and then I think figuratively I'm alone because I want to talk to you and you're the only person here. And that's when we really have to think, well, what makes me feel good? Not relying on another person. This is amazing. This, like I said, makes me cry. I wish I had this every day of my life, or even every Sunday. But that's not the lifestyle I have, and so how else can I get this feeling without it being in a group of singing one love, one heart? And so everybody has their own thing that I'm going to tap into it even though I'm so cranky. Just even the thought of bringing out my art supplies, just why would I even want to do that? Because I know it's going to make me feel better. And so I invite you to think of the things, not the people, because the people sometimes aren't going to be there. You're here today, but we can't always rely on another person. We can rely on ourselves, we can rely on that which lifts us to something bigger than ourselves. And what I find for me is that when I'm all emotional, I'm so by myself, I'm so miserable, does anybody love me, did anybody even read my book? All those things you say to yourself. I really try to take a walk, because anything to get out of here, to get into everything that's underneath my neck. This sometimes comes first, sometimes it comes last. But if I can get moving in my body, that physically shakes things up. If I can get out some art supplies, that sometimes helps. My big thing is writing. Sometimes writing takes me deeper in, which is fabulous. But then I need to bring myself back out, or I'm still stuck in woe is me, or so what am I going to do about all this that I've just discovered about myself? Being with Cody, he doesn't have a care in the world. He's a happy guy. He'll even be outside walking and playing in this beautiful weather. And so just 10 minutes with him and my whole being shifts because I'm connecting with something outside of me. Even though I'm still connecting with myself. It's not my emotions. Emotions are just, I'm learning, a distraction. They want to bring you down into a story that you've been telling and telling. We don't even know if it's true anymore, but we're still telling it. And when we can say, okay, I get it, that's your story. Can you just be over here? What else can I talk about? What else do I really feel? And when you get rid of emotion, put it aside, because I don't know anybody who can't ever not feel the emotions. But when we put it aside, then we actually feel. It's not thinking, it's feeling it. And so when we're traveling, one of our favorite things to do is going into small historical societies. Not big museums we've discovered, but small county, tiny neighborhood historical societies. Not to necessarily go up and down the aisles, but to talk to the volunteer who's sitting at the desk, because their stories are incredible. They're usually the oldest people in the town, and they've seen everything. And to sit there, and they're just telling their story. Isn't that how we really connect with each other? You tell me your story, because I'm going to relate to it. Because something about you, I feel the same way. I've had the same experience. And then you're not, oh, but my story is this. It's a different story. It's a bigger connecting story. Just ring true? And so as we're traveling, I sort of still work, but I don't really want to do that work because I'm not that same person who did that work before. And so right now, it's like, well, what's my job? My job is to show up. My job is to pay attention to what's around me. My job is to connect and ask you what your story is. Who are you? How do you show up in life? How do you feel connected from here? Please tell me, because maybe something that you do is going to inspire me to, oh, that's a new way to spark my heart. I love you. Thank you. So, is there anything else I'm going to tell you? I'm just so amazed that you have this. I've never had this. I want it. So now I have to figure out, but actually, you know what? I don't have to figure it out, because figuring it out puts you back in here. Just have to open up and say, I want this. I want more of this. So I want to thank you, because you've inspired me to recognize really what I'm missing, really what I love. What I need is singing really loud with people who are singing really loud. And it feels really good. So thanks for making me feel good. And I hope that even if you don't want to live on the road full time, that there's something that you want so much that you'll keep it forefront in your story. Thank you.
People get ready. There's a train a-coming. You don't need no ticket. You just get on board. Listen, listen, listen. You can hear the diesel wheels humming. All you got to do to get on is just thank the Lord.
You've been so kind. Okay. So, if you will get yourselves comfortable on your feet, take a deep breath in together. And exhale. And as we leave this place, taking with us more than we ever thought we would need to know. Knowledge about being here and now and staying in the moment. The energy that we take with us. The fact that we take with us an open heart. The fact that we can raise our voices no matter where we are. Breathing in that energy that we all share. Deep breath. Exhaling and take the blessings of this energy with you throughout the week. And so it is.
So it is.